Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic: what fictional character should have been hit with a huge lawsuit at the end of the story? John Hammond from Jurassic Park. His legal team would spare no expense. From memory, there's a deleted scene from The Lost World, Jurassic Park, where that happens. It's a boardroom discussion about payouts to the families of the workers who died and to the British family that accidentally stumbled upon Islosora. Because of it, the board agrees to sack Hammond and make Ludlow head of EJ with immediate effect. Ludlow then comes up with a plan to get their money back by opening up the park in San Diego using dinosaurs from Islosora. Come to think of it, removing that scene kind of removes a shitload of context from the rest of the film. And makes the second film have a lot more sense as to why they dragged a fucking T-Rex to try and open a zoo. Edit: holy shit, this is my most upvoted so far. In the book it's established loud and clear he was in the wrong with his questionable business practices and corner cutting. Hammond is a much bigger shithead in the novel. It's still running, but I can only imagine all the labor laws Mr. Krabs has broken. You really think Nick will ever end SpongeBob? Not as long as it makes money. I'm going for the low-hanging malpractice suit that is House. In one episode, DNR, Season 1 Episode 9, Cuddy tells him, "When I hired you I also set aside $50,000 a year for legal expenses. So far you've come in under budget. Seems low considering neurosurgeons all have to pay over $100,000 a year in malpractice insurance, and there's a neurosurgeon on his team if I recall." Pretty much every adult in a series of unfortunate events. Given that the in-universe legal system of ASU allows a man to marry his adopted 13-year-old daughter, coerced by a threat to her baby sister's life, under the guise of a fraudulent play, presided over by a judge unaware she is acting in an official capacity, and absolute none of this legally invalidates that marriage, and the only thing that saved Violet was a loophole that a signature doesn't count if written with one's non-dominant hand. I don't have high hopes for the Thebaudelaires in civil court. I get the feeling that world is split between very stupid people and very smart people, but even the smart people can act very stupid. They become complacent because of their intelligence. The majority of people are stupid and complacent. Many of the heroic adults are intelligent, well-read, scientific, etc., but they're complacent and trusting. Olaf is pretty stupid, but he's far from complacent, constantly scheming and manipulating. And the Thebaudelaires are both intelligent and non-complacent. It's just no one takes them seriously. Montgomery was a sweet cinnamon roll and the only one sane enough to care for the kids. Yeah, even with the most dangerous viper in the world that turned out to be a cute, loving thick noodle. He's the only character I liked in the movie other than the kids. Never read the books. Dewey from School of Rock. Yay, I'm not sure how he avoided any kind of charge. Even after the kick-ass rock show, there must have been one parent who was like, "I'm still calling the cops." He'd have been mega fucked if the kids performed badly. Isn't it funny in retrospect how this battle of the bands was in the middle of the day on a work/school day, and yet the venue was packed? I watched this movie last night and this was my first thought. There's actually a scene where they call the cops on him, a cop shows up, and he runs off. The next scene he's back in his apartment and they just never follow up on it. Legally, Dewey falsely impersonated a teacher and then kidnapped a bunch of children. He also left them unsupervised on multiple occasions. The real thing that bugs me about this movie is that 4 of the kids are basically doing nothing. 2 of them have security and 2 are groupies. The other non-band kids are costume design, who has a real passion for it and does an awesome job, manager, which seems like a fake job but whatever, she seems to like it, or tech, who actually put together an awesome light show at the end, and we can maybe accept that their parents were so happy to see them following their dreams that they don't press any charges. But there is no way in hell the parent of the kid who spent a month standing around wearing sunglasses is gonna be happy about it. The security were responsible for soundproofing the room and the groupies made merchandise. The gang from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia should be bankrupt from lawsuits and or in jail by now from all the stuff they've done. The Christmas episode where Charlie attacks Santa in the mall would have landed him some serious jail time. He probably would have chosen to represent himself in court too and got a few more years tacked onto his sentence. Due to their aerial locomotion, Santa's flying reindeer, and therefore Santa, fall under bird law. It would be well within Charlie's capabilities to defend himself within that legal framework. I always felt bad for some of the other characters that fell into ruin because of them. Remember when Frank attempts to find a new crew to run with and completely legally destroyed that new crew's bar with lawsuits? First episode to come to mind was when Mac and Charlie beat the shit out of those kids. Those kids deserved it. If we want to talk about ruining lives, how could we possibly forget cricket? The fucker who ran the Truman Show. The fact that the government never put a stop to the show / experiment and very few people even batted an eye about it, makes me wonder about the state of their government, like was it some sort of dictatorship or something? Yeah, the moment Truman turns 18 he's being held against his will. Funny that movie was on TV and I just watched it again. Truman would have been able to sue for hundreds of millions. Then the money and fame would get to him. I think Truman would have had a mental breakdown after leaving. He would have been one of the most famous people ever. He wouldn't understand the hounding, everyone using him wanting him to do business with them. Probably would have started using drugs, overdosed a few years later. Everyone knowing every single intimate detail about you. Trying to come to terms it was all fake. He would be extremely paranoid his entire life and have a complete existential crisis leading to either suicide or drug abuse leading to death. He'd spend the rest of his life convinced he was constantly being watched. The Power Rangers, they are a paramilitary group and are, almost, never officially sanctioned to operate by their relevant municipalities. They cause massive amounts of destruction from their fights and by not warning anyone about the enemies they battle. I love the description of the Power Rangers as a paramilitary group. Actually in a few of the comics they are labeled as such. Chris from Total Drama. Edit, a list of crimes he committed. Multiple attempted murders. Manslaughter. Physical and psychological abuse. Endangerment. Torture. Grievous bodily harm. Pollution. Animal cruelty. Fraud. Terrorism. Snuff filming. Property damages. Enslavement. Poaching. Sabotage. Arson. Attempted destruction. Corruption. I'm pretty sure he went to prison at one point, though not necessarily for putting every contestant's life in danger, if I remember correctly. Wasn't it for dumping toxic waste? Sterling Archer in about every episode of Archer. Mallory Archer for all the workplace health and safety violations in just about every episode of Archer. You forgot about the whole season where they tried to become drug lords. Kreeger for everything. The Geneva Convention called Kreeger. Ferris Bueller. Everything that goes on with the car, hijacking a parade float, or trespassing throughout the neighborhood. Man, the 80s were a different time. Post-Coke pre-AIDS it was a hell of a ride. Michael Scott. A lot of the office employees too. Dwight and Jim had some instant fired moments. I mean you had near prostitution that benefited the company that they blatantly ignored and threatened the reporting hour rep with termination over. Michael was involved in numerous auto accidents including the injuring of a pedestrian. Bringing a gun to an office is already against most workplace policies, but even if it wasn't, a negligent discharge from fucking around with it should be the police will escort your dumb ass from the property situation. Willy Wonka, I mean isn't it obvious? Edit, a lot of people are saying they signed a contract. So here is the article I found at the top of Google that agrees with me. Article. Edit 2, here is the legal eagle a lot of people are talking about in replies. Video. Haha. He's the inspiration for my question actually. Hem. She deserves a fuckto more than just a lawsuit. She got a fuckto more than a lawsuit. Specifically she got tossed in Artkaba. I both love and hate that literally everyone knows who you're referring to. My son and I are 3/4th through the Order of the Phoenix, and whenever she shows up, all I have to do is that little hem and he goes oh, God, no. Asterisk sighs deeply asterisk. May I offer you a cough drop, Dolores? Tony Stark would have had to go on a very long hiatus from being Iron Man in 2015 due to being swamped with thousands of lawsuits and various criminal charges after his negligence resulted in the birth of an army that orchestrated the destruction of a Wakanda South African city and the annihilation of an entire country, and the entire earth had it succeeded. Captain America, Civil Suit. Subtitle, Infinite Lawyers. Turning action movies into class action movies. The Avengers as a whole IMO. They did get lawsuits, didn't they? In Age of Ultron, the country Hulk rampaged in was mad. They were put under the Accords. Half their members got jailed cause of civil war and all that shit. Even when Cap busted them out of the jail, they had to live incognito, and after Infinite War lawsuit didn't matter much, did they? I am pretty sure Avengers were like under hundreds of lawsuits, but they were American pretty boys, and America won't exactly hand them over to some poor ass nation, right? If you noticed correctly, as soon as trouble moved to Europe, they were put under Accords.